Your life expectancy with any company today is 2 years. Yes. Yeah. Huh? So you have to reprogram yourself almost every 2 years. You have to re-engineer yourself to make you indispensable to where society is from a production perspective. So the re-engineering has to consistently happen. Even if you're 72 years old, you have to re-engineer yourself and reprogram yourself to the society that exists today, not the society that existed 40 years ago. And if you're 20 years old, you got to reprogram yourself. And if you're 16 years old, like the young man in the booth, you got to reprogram yourself because you got to be able to go and learn virtually when you and I had to sit in the classroom. So reprogramming is going on each and every day of our lives. And God knew it was going to be that way. Look at verse 24. And God said, let the land produce living creatures according to their kind. Reproduction. The livestock, the creatures that moved along the ground, the wild animals, each according to its kind, and it was good. And God made the wild animals according to their kind. And watch this. I love it. He just consistently said, and God saw that it was good. But watch something that's more. Remember I told you when we started? God made us now the most productive, persistent, patient creature in the world. Remember when we first started, I shared that with you? And you probably just chuckle, say, Pastor, just saying something off the reservation again. And I told you that God was systematic, and we've started seeing so far that God is systematic. But I want you to see how I can say to you, emphatically, how I can say to you without any doubt, with any hesitation, how I can say to you that God made us the most productive, innovative creature that could be made. Watch this. Verse 27. So God, not Frankenstein, not some atom turning around out there in space and falling in the ocean. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. God created them, and God blessed them. If God is systematic, if God is persistent, if God is patient, and if God creates you and me in his own image, what does that make us? Yes. He made us the most productive, the most innovative, the most creative, the most persistent, the most patient creature that could be made because he put his spirit in you and me. And then he empowered us each and every day to outperform anybody on any given task if we commit to it. And today, for you and me, ignorance is a choice. Yes. Because at one time, only priests and wealthy people could read. At one time, only priests and wealthy people could gain knowledge and information. I had a guy putting in a septic tank. I had never put in a septic tank before. I stood up that night and I watched about 10 videos on how to install a septic tank. Guy went and started putting the septic tank out. He didn't do the half-inch drop each time. So I stopped him and I said, hey, man, can I ask you a question? I wasn't arrogant. Is that septic tank supposed to progress down as it goes? I say, do you have a little transit to take a look at it? And he stopped and he looked at me. And he said, yes, sir, you're right. It's supposed to progress down. And I do have a transit, and I'm going to mark it that 1/4 inch gradually. Now, why did I tell that story with you? You choose to be ignorant today. You can know as much as a doctor. When I went to the doctor about the bump on my back of my head, I wanted to know as much about that bump as the doctor. So I went on the computer and I researched it. And I researched what it could possibly be. And then the doctor and I engaged in a lively conversation. Dr. Tilton and I talked backwards and forward. And he said, well, it's this possibility, that possibility. I said, no, Doc, it's probably a cluster now. That germ probably has gone down into the second layer of my skin and caused a cluster. And he went on his computer and looked and said, you know, Pastor John, you're probably right. And then when he sent me to the specialist said, yes, that's what it is. So what I'm saying to you now is that God has made it possible for you and I to be the most productive, innovative, creative people that can possibly be. But we have to have a little patience. We have to be willing to put the time in to learn. Because things are changing so rapidly. Things are going to and fro. Jesus told that knowledge is going to increase tenfold. And it's happening right before our eyes. And we have to just, and God said to us, it is good. And he created us in his image so that we can be as productive, as innovative, as creative as you can possibly be. And in verse 28, he does something for us that he didn't do. Remember, God created all the creatures, everything in the universe, God created it. But he does something special with mankind in verse 28. After he creates us in his own image, creates us to be productive, creates us to be persistent, creates us to be patient. He does something to empower us even more. God blessed them. We want to thank you for being with us today. If this message has been a blessing to you and your family, we encourage you to make a donation to keep this broadcast on the air. You can make your donations by going to Bethesda ApostolicHouseOfPrayer.com on our secure website, or Givelify app, where you can make your donation to keep this broadcast on the air. Please remember, your tithes go to your local church, but your offerings can go to where you're being fed. And as we continue on our journey, remember this. 2 Corinthians 5 and 7 tells us that we walk by faith, not by sight.